all taught to go to school, get good grades, a degree, and masters maybe, so you can become an adult with a high-paying job, having the career of your dreams and functioning as a contributing citizen to the society. But what if your dream is to leave your society, travel to another part of the world, learn their social construct and cultures, and become a part of it, all for sharing your spiritual beliefs with someone else? Would you?
Hi everyone, my name is Leah Joslyn and I live in the Barataria area in Trinidad and Tobago. But presently I'm living in Senegal West Africa and I'm involved in full-time missions, and my goal is to do tribal church planting.
That's right. Shortly after graduating secondary school, Leah left the comfortable shores of home and became a part of New Tribes Mission, an organization that focuses on reaching the unreached people groups around the world. Their goal is to introduce churches to 2,500 unreached groups. Leah took some time to share her journey thus far with Rankin Productions and myself. So we need to really get an idea of what is tribal church planting. What is tribal church planting?
Okay, so in its basic form, tribal church planting is going out into a tribe and planting a church. But it's not just the building we're talking about. We're talking about learning a language and a culture, teaching people how to read and write their own culture, then doing Bible translation, teaching them the Bible. And then when you have people that decide to become members of this church now, then you do discipleship. And so this process takes like at least 10 years to be done.
Entirely. Okay, so pretty much you would have decided that you want to leave Trinidad to go and do this. How long does it take to understand or become part of or learn a person's culture or a tribe's culture?
Okay, so for a tribe, you will be learning forever basically. But we can say that you have a proper understanding, but maybe after like 4 or 5 years, you have a proper understanding of their language and
you
culture.
kind of have to become, well, they wouldn't say citizen, but, you know, part of the
a
tribe.
member
of the tribe.
Of the tribe or the clan, yeah.
Oh, would you have to go through any official initiations or anything that really formally have, where the tribes consider you formally a part of
their tribe?
Yeah.
So every tribe has their own specific thing that they might do, but I don't think as a missionary we would go into some really ritualistic things where they will be cutting you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think each tribe would have their form of initiation, whether it is they have like a celebration over a meal, or they present you to a host family or something like that.
Right. Where are you based right now?
Okay, so right now I'm in Senegal, West Africa. I'm in the city, which is Dakar. And there I'm studying the national language and culture. And that's the first step before you actually go out into the tribal village.
What is the national language?
The national language is French.
Oh, that's not bad.
Because of the government, but then they also have their local national language, which is Wolof. So I have to start off with French first, and when I'm done with French, then I'll learn Wolof.
Okay, you've been there for how long?
I've been there for 1 year and 4 months now.
Oh, okay. How has that been?
So it has been...
Interesting transition.
Yes, it has been very different from Trinidad culture, obviously, being in a different place where they speak... It's not English at all.
Right.
So just being able to learn how to understand what is going on, what I'm seeing, learning people's language, it's difficult. It's a lot of work, but I do enjoy being there.
What are some of the culture comparisons?
One of the things that is different is that the men are more dominant than the women. They don't have much of a say, and in Trinidad we know we have this strong independent woman.
Yeah.
You know, I am there, I'm by myself.
Yeah, good luck trying to tell a Trini woman what to do.
Yes, so in that culture we can't really do that. And just a quick example of what happened that time. We were at church and we were all eating a meal together, and there weren't enough spoons for everyone to eat. And so at my table, it didn't have enough, so I said I wasn't going to eat. And then some of the men got offended and was like, you need to eat right now with your hands. I was like, no, why should I eat with my hand? You're eating with a spoon. So I was answering him back, and everyone was like in shock, like, what is this girl doing talking to the pastor? And then he was like, no, you're a woman, eat with your hand. And I was like, no, you're not. And then he got upset, and then he walked off and left. And then I just kind of realized that I had stepped their boundaries. I had totally been disrespectful, so stuff like that.
So you had to do an apology of some sort?
So I did not apologize because at that time I wasn't very humble. It was new to me and I was really upset on my part.
Yeah.
And after that, speaking to other people about the situation, I realized that I had to change my way of thinking and realize that women are more accepting of orders and commands, and that's something that you see in the culture where the person who's older they have more power over you. So whatever they tell you to do, you have to do it. You can't really question back what it is. Even with siblings, an older sibling could completely control their younger sibling and tell them, go to the shop, go wash the dishes, go do this, and you just have to obey.
Yeah. Now this is interesting because it's not just learning about a person's culture. You really have to become it, and which means you have to kind of lose who you are or your character, your personality. There's parts of you that you have to lose. That had to be difficult.
It's very difficult, and I guess from a Christian point of view, just us knowing that we have to become all things to all men to reach a particular goal. And so that means changing who you are in the process so that you can become relevant and accepted by the people. If I hadn't changed, then no one would listen to me. I would just be noise, and I would not be able to build those relationships that I need to accomplish the purpose that I want to get accomplished.
Anything across there that was like a total culture shock besides the dominance in the male or the men? Anything else have been like a total culture shock in comparison to here in Trinidad?
It's not that a great thing, but like even like with transportation, oh my goodness, like in Trinidad it's so easy. You can just have your own personal car, you could just take the maxi or whatever. Okay, over there's something called the bus, but it's never a normal bus ride because it's so packed. When I say packed, it's literally someone stuck in front of you and behind you and at the side, and you cannot move or breathe, and they're always trying to fit one more person into the bus. And then there's another thing called the carapede, which is just crazy. A lot of people avoid taking it because they say they drive so crazy, you feel like you're always having near-death experiences or whatever. And then also they have like people that collect your money, and sometimes they just like to run off with your change and you don't get your change, and it's just a very stressful experience. You have to scream and shout, and it's just like very frustrating to get where you want to go.
Right.
So yeah.
What about understanding their spiritual beliefs? Because at the end of the day, it's about planting a church. But you have to understand what they believe in initially. What have you learned about their beliefs?
So in Senegal, even though it's like 92% Muslim and then the rest is like Catholic and Christian, a lot of people, even though they might be Muslim or Catholic, they are very animistic. So you would see them, people talking about they're going back to their tribe to do like whatever sacrifices or whatever. I remember in my first apartment, I woke up a morning hearing like pigs screaming. And I was on top, so when I looked down, I saw just in the pathway of the doorway to get into the compound, they had dug like a deep hole, and they were like cutting the pig's throat and letting the blood run down the hole, and then like trying to pull out the heart and whatever. And while they, like men were doing this, and they are huge pigs, you had like two women throwing alcohol and water over it, and I'm just like, what in the world is going on? And when I asked my neighbor, they said that they do that after someone dies in a specific ethnic group. So they have all sorts of things that, or you would see like homeless boys, a lot of young homeless boys on the street, and then you would see these rich people pass by and give them like a candle. I'm like, what does a homeless person have to do with a candle or a white piece of paper? I'm like, why would you give a homeless person who is asking for something to eat a white piece of paper? Stuff like, okay. So also in Senegal, because it's animistic with Muslim, they believe that in order to get rich and stuff like that, your marabout, which would be kind of like a person who disciples you and almost like a witch doctor. They will tell you, okay, give so much candles to a homeless person, or give this white piece of paper, whatever it is, and that's how you're offering like a sacrifice, and then that's how you get rich and you are able to get more money and a bigger house and whatever.
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, how is that I mean, to hear it, it's difficult for me to interpret that and, be cool with that and be, accepting of that. How has that been for you?
It's difficult to see because we know in Trinidad, we don't see tons of homeless people and boys all over the side of the street, and so you just feel really sorry for them. And then to know that people are using them as a means to get even more rich and just.
But you can't act. You can't
stop you can't interrupt any of that. I know people have tried to change it, but it's a whole difficult process. People said it can't stop because that's how they practice their religion. So we're not going to stop allowing that to happen.
So understanding that you're going to spend some more time still, familiarizing yourself with the culture.
Yeah.
But when you get to that point of actually planting a church seed, what happens if no one decides to follow or no one decides to leave there?
So that's a really interesting question because I just came back from Ivory Coast just to visit some missionaries who have been there for like 19 years now. And they have been doing a tribal church planting. And they had that, the moment when they arrived where they could teach the Bible lessons now. The first night, about only a handful of people came. They thought the whole village would have come. And then the second night, no one came.
Right.
So they didn't even get to reach that stage. And so you have to change, okay, how are we going to move forward with the church plan? And so they had to go and visit individual houses. And so they really struggled with that. There have been other people where no one showed up, no one decided to accept. And so some of the missionaries just had to leave. So there's no fixed guarantees that after you go through all that struggle of learning the language and the culture and teaching these lessons, doing these translations, that the people would accept the message that you're
and you just have to, that's part. You have to understand that from the get-go.
Yes. So you could spend a whole 11 years trying to get to that point, and then after that, it just...
How do you know when it's not going to work out and you should just, well, I don't want to say give up, but in essence that's...
So there have also been missionaries where it didn't work, and so they decided to start over their approach because they realized maybe it was how they built their relationships with the people. Some of them maybe have made past mistakes in not being helpful, not being open, assuming that they understand what is going on,
right,
and not really understanding what.
Because in essence, you are trying to become a friend that they trust.
Yes.
Don't you think that can be slightly deceitful?
No, because I think in general, no one wants to listen to someone that they don't trust or think has their best interest at heart. I wouldn't. So therefore, you use that as a door, as a means. And in the beginning, you are telling them that the reason you are here is to give them a particular message. So they know that from the get-go. They know that you're not here under the guise that we're going to build a hospital or a well or whatever.
Right,
and then at the end, you sneak in and be like, no, well, we just want to tell you this, whatever. No, you're upfront about it in the beginning,
Right. This is
so they know.
Slightly mind-blowing. How many other trainees you know have taken on this mission?
Okay, so besides myself, in West Africa, there is one other Trinidadian couple, and they have been there for over 20 years now. Successfully, and they're in Guinea, and they have planted their church. They have disciples, and the church is functioning, but it still has a few struggles in people being fully committed and not backsliding and coming back.
Right.
But they're doing really well, so much so that they have been able to finance some of the villagers. They have sons. They have been able to help finance them to leave Guinea and go to Senegal and other places to study and further their education as well.
Because in essence, you're trying to start the church, but you want the church to function without
the missionaries.
Yeah.
But also, as a missionary, we want to help people advance in their life as well. It's not just about that, but people need to provide for their families. They need money. They need those stuff. So helping these boys further their education so that they can actually get good jobs and come back and help out their families as well.
Makes sense. What are some of the projects that you've done to try and gain respect, build relationships with the people who live there?
With me personally, where I am in Senegal, I'm not in the village, but with me, in my church as well, there have been some boys who were previously on the street, but now they're in our apartment. And so one of my projects is just buying groceries for them and teaching them simple things as how to do budgeting, how to manage their money wisely, how to, further their education. 2 of them have started going to school as well. So just encouraging people to use what they have to move forward.
Interesting. All right, so where can people get more information about, maybe if someone else is interested in that or just want to read up about it or continue to read up on your journey and your experiences, how can anybody get any more information?
Okay, so if you're interested in the organization, it's called New Tribes Mission, and you could go onto the internet and you could go at www.newtribesmission.
New Tribes Mission,
and you would find more information because they have a Bible school, they have a training center, and they have all the different areas that you can go, because it's not just West Africa. You could go to Philippines, you could go to South America, wherever. And if you're interested in following me and finding out more, you can go to my Facebook page, which is Leah's Latest.
Yes. All right, so check out Leah's Latest, check out New Tribes Mission. This is Feet on the Street. We'll be right back with more.